Hi, this is Mother Oracle again. I'm hoping you're enjoying my videos. Please like, subscribe, click the bell, comment, whatever you feel is appropriate. Share if there's something you think others could use. Today, I think I'm going to be talking about paranormal investigations. One of my favorite shows, which I enjoy watching, is paranormal investigations, including ghost adventures, ghost hunters. They all have different ways of dealing with spirits, dealing with haunted houses and situations that they find themselves in. I think my take on, and before I even go on, I did do paranormal investigations for almost a full year back in 2016, actually. No, I take that back. I'm looking at my notes. It was actually 2017, and that was a really pivotal year for me, but I'm not going to go into all that right now. I just want you to know that I did paranormal investigations. I'm actually going to include in this channel a speech I gave at the Orlando Downtown Library in the August of 2017, and it was on ley lines, and so I will include that. I'll add that video on this channel, so you can always look for that. But I just want to talk about the way paranormal investigations are handled in general, and the fact that I've been seeing spirits and able to communicate with them for my lifetime. I may have stopped for a little while, but I still could do it, and was still seeing them and was not frightened by them. I mentioned before that the only thing that really frightens me is jump scares, really. But I would love it if paranormal investigators would realize that the spirits that they're looking for, the souls, the spirits of those people that they're communicating with, are people. They're people. They just don't have bodies anymore. And so it could be somebody who passed in a horrific accident. It could have somebody who passed peacefully in their bed, someone who, all variety, shot in a fire. All kinds of things can occur to cause people to lose their lives, which we all know this. But my concern is how the paranormal investigators are dealing with it. These are people. It doesn't matter if they're dead. It doesn't matter. They're still people. And, it's why you ask them to knock back, and then when they knock back, you're like, oh, they knocked back. Well, frickin' you asked them to knock back. I'm sorry. And it's like, really? Or you asked them a question, they answered you. Guess what? They have a brain. They can answer you. So it's not really a surprise. It's what mediums have been doing for centuries. And finally, science has caught up to what mediums have been doing. When mediums are telling people, yes, I'm communicating with the spirit. It feels like this. It's giving me this kind of energy. It's sad because maybe it committed suicide. You don't know. And you have to be gentle sometimes with the spirits, you know, yelling at them and being mean to them and walking away and acting like it was terrifying, like, you know, screaming, making loud noises. There's some stuff I've seen, and I'm not calling out any particular group. Some are more about debunking the paranormal activity, more about figuring out what it could be in the real world versus, you know, if it's a spirit or not. And then there's others who believe it's all a spirit and it's not at all the house just settling or anything like that. So there isn't really a distinction being made between, you know, those who debunk and those who believe 100%. And yeah, spirits are there. They're around all the time. If you ask them to come talk to you, and it could be a loved one, it could be someone who you've known in the past. It's one of those things where you talk to people. It's like calling on a phone. Like, you know, I'm going to say their name because I know they lived here in the past, so I'm going to mention their name. Well, guess what? It's like dialing them up and going, okay, even though you might be in the light, I need you to come back right now. I need you to be here. I'm going to call your name, right? So now, naturally, they're going to answer, or they may not answer. It depends on what the spirit was like in their lifetime. Now, this is assuming that the spirits are all dead. I don't know. When I did my trance channeling, the group that calls themselves GeorgeAnna, which I have a link on my page, my YouTube channel, I have a link to GeorgeAnna Speaks, which is the name of the other channel that I have, where I put up the channeling and other things that are on there, but I'm focusing on channeling on that channel, and I may move those over to this one, I don't know. But the point is that they came through and talked about time. They were asked a question and they talked about time. That time is both linear, right? So it's both moving forward at a steady pace. It is linear. And at the same time, everything is happening at the same time. So you have this linear, right? And then you have everything all together at the same time. So is it possible that when someone is asking, or someone is hearing, walking, or hearing voices, is it possible that those voices are actually coming through from another dimension, from another time? Is it possible that what they're experiencing in their time, got this one, that what the people who lived in that house, what they experienced, could it be that they experienced you investigating? Could it be that they experienced you in the house and thought you were a ghost? Who's the ghost? Both of you? Are you both a ghost? I don't know. You know, it's like some people believe that we are just, you know, pixels, that we are basically a projection, that and that we are nothing more than, you know, we're not really here. It's possible, because when I've done mediumship readings, I have both accessed information that is, for lack of a better word, on the cloud. Okay? So I have been able to reach up and get information from spirit, from a source that I am still connected with. So is it part of it's almost like a movie screen, a projector, So it would be like a projector. And are we a projection? Are we simply a projection of light? Which, when I have done some mediumship readings, I've actually watched spirits. I've actually watched them go into the light. Go into the light. Let's think about that for a second. Going back to the source, going back to source material, going back to that film, going back to that information, going back to where everything is, going back to God, going back to Creator, the creation of our life and our being. And yet, are we like in a movie? We create our own reality. We create what we think of. We pull toward us what we want. We are extremely powerful. We are players upon a stage. There's so many things I can say, but I have actually seen, not just in mediumship readings, but I have seen them in other situations, light beings, light bodies. Okay, so, and they're all little individual, and they're just glowing. They might have a different color, maybe a different little shape, but glowing bodies of light. So why not? We could be a projection. This could be a holographic, or whatever, however you want to call it. They've proven that our cells they're not packed tightly together. In reality, there really is space between everything, and yet we don't know quite how to access it, but maybe we are accessing it, with our minds. Maybe that's why things change. Maybe that's why when we want a certain thing, it shows up. Maybe that's why when we put all of our effort and all of our thoughts and all of our energy into something, we can create it. Maybe it's because those things can realign and create something new. So, just have faith in your power, and have faith in the fact that, spirits, back to spirits, they're out there. So if you are doing paranormal investigations, I just really beg of you to treat the spirits with respect, and to introduce yourself. You don't have to do it on camera if you're on a television show, but for goodness sakes, introduce yourself, and don't be surprised if they already know your name. Don't be surprised. They have access to everything because they're on the other side. Now, if they've already gone into the light, the proverbial light, if they've already gone in, then of course they have access to everything. There are those who possibly have died suddenly, or have died while they were sleeping, or felt like they had unfinished business, or were just really, really mean, evil people when they were living, when they were alive. So guess what? They don't want to go into the light. They don't want to go anywhere, because they think they're either going to go to hell, or they think they're going to go to heaven. Either one, they think they're going to get punished, or they think they don't deserve to go to heaven. People can commit suicide, and because of what their religious beliefs were, they're going to prevent themselves from going anywhere. And there's people that are just mean and nasty, and they hate either their life, they hate what they're doing, or they enjoy it so much that they decide, oh, this is going to be fun, because now I can just hang around and irritate these people while they're, while I'm not in my body. I can still irritate them, but guess what? You really can't do much. And I question if maybe, I don't know. I've been seeing stuff for my whole life, and I can honestly say I'm not looking for evil. I'm not looking for negative things. I'm not out there searching for that. And it's not what I want in my life, and it's not what I want to focus on. But so I don't see it. Maybe that's the answer to the whole thing. You know, I'm not going to see dark things. I'm not going to see shadow figures. I don't see that kind of stuff because I don't want to see it, because I'm not interested in it. But you know what? If it's there, it's purely someone who doesn't know they're loved. It is someone who is afraid. There can be a lot of fear connected with why someone is a dark spirit. They might be, you know, as you would call evil when they were alive. So when they're dead, they're still going to be evil. They're still going to be evil, especially if they haven't gone into the light and they haven't connected back with source. They haven't connected back with creator of everything. So they're not rewinding. They're not getting that healing. They're not getting that cleansing. They're not getting that new opportunity. They're stuck. And sometimes all they need is to know that either someone loved them in that lifetime, or they can either remember like a mother, or it may not be a mother. It may be a friend who they had a camaraderie with. You know, it could be just the idea, just something that makes them happy, something that makes them smile. And the best thing that I can explain that has to do with this would be, why do I want to call it? The television show, and for goodness sakes, I can't think of what it's called. It's not Ghost Adventures or Ghost Hunters, but it was basically on the television as a woman. She could see the, and I'm sure if you know what it is, you can comment if you'd like, but I'm just letting you know that this woman would see spirits, and she could speak to them, but when she saw them and she spoke to them, when she first saw them and spoke to them, oftentimes they showed themselves the way they passed. And sometimes it was horrific. Sometimes it was very, you know, bloody or disfigured, or, you know, if they froze to death, they might have been blue. It's the idea that, you know, they were in a state, the same state as the way they passed. And then once she makes a connection for them, right? So they can help them heal, to help them heal. And once that happens, it's like instantly they turn back into the way they looked originally before they passed. In other words, they're back to the way they look. And then oftentimes as they're leaving and going into the light, they say thank you. And this is very common. I've had spirits tell me thank you that I've helped move into the light. So, and I've done that many times. I've had several. I did it with a woman when I was first learning how to channeling, and learned how to channel, and she was channeling, and we helped facilitate spirits going into the light. And then I also recently helped another woman that I know help a spirit that had been with her and go into the light. But, you know, it's like, even that spirit, you know, it's like there's things, sometimes they don't realize what they're doing. Sometimes they're unaware that they can be hindering or hurting a person here, a living person. Sometimes they're unaware that their actions can be preventing something from occurring, or maybe causing something to occur in this physical world. So just, you know, I don't know what more I can say, but it's sort of if you're doing paranormal investigations, please, please, please acknowledge that mediums have been doing all the things, that your direct connects, that your EMF detectors, that your cameras, that your night vision cameras, all of these things, you know, your your tape recorders, all these things that you use now, all your tools. It's what I say in my one speech that I gave, is that all the tools that paranormal investigators use, it's basically, I think I said it a little different, but it's the idea that our bodies are a tool. And especially highly tuned, mediums can be a great tool for paranormal investigations. I've often said, I would think it would be interesting for me to be giving a reading and have somebody use the direct connect to see if I can say there's a spirit standing right there, and them to record in that direction and see the spirit. I would love that to happen. I don't know. Would the spirit get shy when they know they're being recorded? They're just people. And the way that they're going to, when someone goes into the light, the way that they're going to come back and talk to a loved one, and the way they're going to present themselves is going to be how that person will recognize them. So that's important to know. So even though they may have passed in an accident, they may have passed from a heart attack, whatever it was, you need to know that they might give that information. They might allow like myself, I feel things. They might allow the medium to feel that energy, so that they can make sure they give the information, so what happened to them. So when you're, so you can explain to the person you're giving a reading for that, I'm having shortness of breath, whatever it is. If that's what comes through, it's not that spirit still has shortness of breath. It's the fact that they are coming through and giving that information, so that they are healed. When they go into light, they're healed. If they're not in the light, they may stay unhealed and be here and be in pain. And therefore, when you go do a paranormal investigation and you all of a sudden, feel some cold, well, makes sense. When someone dies, their blood's no longer pumping. There may be a cold spot. That makes sense. The energy, of course, they're still going to have energy, because we are all energy. We are all energy. So the EMF detectors, of course, that's going to happen. Catching orbs orbs, I believe, are transportation devices. We are light beings again. So there's going to be images, or there's going to be blurs, or there's going to be things that happen. Now, if there's a spirit that is, because they didn't go into the light and they end up being dark, they end up not connecting with their other self, with their higher self, and they end up being detached almost, and so they may become very dark. And in that case, there might be a shadow being, or whatever it is, and that might be what's being seen. But just understand they're people. Just treat them with respect. Use mediums, but have the medium give you a reading, or have the medium give somebody else a reading. Make sure they're really good before you put them on a television show. Most mediums are not going to be scared of spirits. They're not. They might be scared of something sudden. They might be scared of something that has never happened before. And yeah, like when I was touched on the shoulder, sometimes things like that can make you jump. Of course they can make you scream, can make you do whatever. But the issue is, you need somebody that's going to help the spirits. Why do you want to keep them here? Why would you want to keep them in confinement? Why wouldn't you want to send them on when you're done with your paranormal investigations? Tell them to go to the light. Try to help them. Tell them they're loved. But you've got to mean it. You can't just say it from a place of, oh, I'm just going to do this because this is what I'm going to do. No. It has to be from a place of true believers, believing 100%. There's no reason to be mean to spirits. There's no reason to be, and calling them demons. Come on. I don't know. I just think they're just evil people sometimes that get a bad rap. And of course, just like I do the channeling and a spirit enters me and I leave for a little while, maybe that's part of possession, is that this evil will come inside. But is it an evil person, or is it truly a demon? Okay, so let's look at that. Is it Is it part of the angel realm? Because there's thoughts that possibly when the angels were, which are the angels, this again, I'm going to go off on a little tangent. Are the angels the Anunnaki? Is that who they are? Are they, and seriously, I probably shouldn't get into this because that's a whole nother thing. But, winged beings, winged creatures, is that part of that, and of course there's good and bad in everything. There's good and bad in everything. And if you don't admit that, you're wrong. Every person has good and bad. The creator of all things, God, whatever you would like to call him, great creator, all that is, I am that I am, whatever you want to call this all-encompassing being that created everything. That means he didn't just create the good. He didn't just create the positive. He created the negative. He created both light and dark. He created both good and bad. He created both saintly and evil. He created both angels and demons. He created everything. And you cannot have one without the other. They are intrinsically linked. It is part of our world. It's why we live, we die, we decay. We become part of the earth again. It's dust to dust. We are eternal beings. We continue. Our souls, our spirits, our higher selves do not end with physical death. They do not end, which is why there's paranormal activity. People see alien spaceships, or they see things they think are aliens. Well, maybe again, dimensional shifts, portals. There's so much that I can talk to you about. I can't talk about it all right now, but I can surely talk about those things in future videos. And so I'm going to stop now, and I'm just going to tell you, you are loved. You are loved. There is unconditional love in the universe for you, and I am sending love to all of the people here who have watched this at any time, any moment in time. If you've watched this, I love you. All is well.